closest thing about for almost 4 years.
Politics in Nigeria has always been a choral of diverse voices, but there is one notable absence: the voice of women. But there are women who have refused to be coward and dare to challenge the status quo.
There is no money. We're trying to do transfers.
Already marginalized in wider Nigerian society, these women in the boys' club that is Nigerian politics are a double minority.
Well, you know what they say in law, ipsa loquitur, a thing speaks for itself. What you just saw is what we're going to be talking about now. That documentary produced by a veteran journalist comes against the backdrop of the intense advocacy for the National Assembly to support, by popular will, the special seats for women bill. Joining us on the program to expand more on that documentary that you'll be seeing more of on Channels Television is veteran journalist Miss Kadaria Ahmed. She joins us virtually now on the program. It's good to see you, Miss Ahmed. Welcome to the Morning Brief.
Thank you very much. It's good to be here. I'd forgotten what it's like to wake up very early in the morning. So you can see me. I'm trying to put on my game face, but it's not that easy. Yeah?
Well, you're back home on Channels Television, so we're glad to have you on the program.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Let's begin with, the findings from that work that you just produced. What are the key findings, and how significantly does it impact on the challenges that lie ahead of women that may emerge, following what we hope to be a sail-through for the special seats for women bill?
Okay, so, we went into this documentary, to be honest with you, because we were seeing declining representation, When President Olusegun Obasanjo became president and we sort of made our way back to democratic rule, we were very hopeful, based on what was happening during that particular administration, that we were going to see increasing engagement for women, both in political office but also elective office. What then happened was that we saw a steady decline. And in the current National Assembly, for example, you have less than 3% of women in the Senate, less than 5% in the National Assembly. So out of something like 108 senators, there are only 3 women. Out of almost 400 and something members of the House of Reps, there are only 17. Mind you, this particular representation is much better than what you would find at state level. And research has shown again and again, when you basically do not represent almost 50% of your population, are not sitting at the table when policy is made, when laws are made, when decisions are being taken about things, then the chances are you will see a decline in development. And I had a theory that we could actually track directly some of the decline we saw in Nigerian political space, including the quality of people we elect, and also outcomes that are contrary to what democracy should be giving people. I was postulating that I think there's a direct correlation between our refusal to allow full female participation in politics, in political office, and this decline. So what we wanted to do was to find out, okay, what are the issues? Are there problems that are stopping women from fully participating and being successful when they participate? And the big answer was yes. We found that there are structural barriers, and they range from the way political parties are designed. Generally, there is a problem with internal party democracy anyway. But for women, this is even worse, right? Then there are issues of funding. Then there are, cultural biases. All of those things come together to make it nearly impossible for women to sort of contest for at the party level, the position to represent their parties and then into national elections. And this is really what the documentary set out to explore. But we didn't want a preachy documentary. No, we didn't want to. We didn't want to be sort of this big brother with this voiceover narrating what women are going through. We thought it was important to actually go into the field and allow women to tell their stories as they were contesting for political office. So that's what we did. During the 2023 elections, we deployed multiple crews across this country, and we basically tracked the campaign of 9 women. We set out to do a little bit more than that, but you know how it is when you're in the field, you're in production, you understand what you set out to do sometimes doesn't happen. So some of the women we were intending to track ended up, not wanting to do it, not cooperating fully in such a way that would get their full story. But the 9 women that we tracked were phenomenal, and we were able to follow them closely and look at the issues that faced them.
Quite a number of observations that you've made, which are quite valid, and it's been what we've been seeing. As a matter of fact, some of us are he for she, because for 60-something years, the country has been run by men. We may want to see what it looks like with a woman. Yes. So we are behind everything that will make women to be properly represented. But are you looking at a situation where some level of, I'm using the word loosely here, compromise in terms of advocacy with the men will go a long way to be able to give women the opportunity they deserve? Because I think we've seen clearly when you give them positions in terms of appointment, you see how they deliver. But elective positions are always the issue here, because it looks like the system is rigged against them, which is what you've identified and you're trying to solve. So is it
I think you're right about it. Is because of the fact that people think a compromise is important, is why you are now having extra seats, an advocacy for extra seats, to be put aside for women. In an ideal environment, in a country like Nigeria, where I think the majority of the population believes that our National Assembly, our parliament is already too big, and takes away a disproportionate amount of our resources for itself. Ideally, what should happen is that those seats should actually be created among existing seats. But in recognition of the difficulty of getting men to give up their advantages, I think is the reason why women started advocating, okay, if you are not going to give up your seats, let's create special seats that are kept aside for women. And I think part of the problem is that sometimes the language that we use to talk about these issues and why they matter, the language almost makes it seem as if we're doing a favor for women, A, or B, when women are in positions of in elective offices or in appointive offices, it is good for women causes. No, it is good for the country. First of all, your population is 50% women. So actually, if women do well, what it means is that 50% of your population is doing well. But research has also shown again and again, both not only in politics, but even in the corporate world, that where you have women as part of leadership, that diversity increases your chances of success. And it's not surprising, because it means at the table, you've got people who think different from the usual way of doing things. They're out of the box thinking. They bring skills that women have that are sort of a little bit different from the skills that men have. So for example, women are very good at multitasking. Women have a little bit more empathy. But more importantly, women are sort of community organizers. They tend to run homes, they run families, and that then, can be extrapolated to communities. And what that means is that if women are doing well, then your families are doing well, your communities are doing well. And all of this translates into better outcomes for the whole society. So the resistance to women leadership in politics and in other spheres of life, including sort of appointive offices, is really society shooting itself in the foot. It is not just women that they are doing this to. They are doing it to themselves, because they are basically putting barriers that could allow society to thrive and do well. Did I miss you guys?
No, absolutely not. I think that was a moment to soak in everything you said. I just want to maybe get some other angles to fixing this. I know you follow the story of about 9 women, their journey through campaign and all of that. And I mean, looking at an analysis of it, just very few of them actually were voted in eventually, right? So while we have to advocate for reserved seats, we have to also sensitize people to all of the social and cultural re-engineering. What was the secret for the ones who succeeded? Is there any secret that we can maybe replicate for women? And I'm talking about Senator Natasha Akpoti-Oduah, Senator Ireti Kingibe. What was the secret for them?
Yeah, and also the young lady in Kaduna who is the only female member of the State House of Representatives, Munira Tanimu. So the one thing with all 3 of them is actually this is not their first rodeo. So it is possible that we can say maybe the experience of contesting, losing, teaches, people lessons, right? So all of the 3 that made it, among those that we followed, I mean, there are other women that we didn't follow that won. So, for example, the Senate has 3 senators. So there are 2 other senators in addition to Senator Natasha, but we didn't follow those other women. We followed Senator Natasha and Ireti Kingibe. So part of it is, it seems like they are women who are resilient, who do not accept failure, who basically will try again. And what we found is that the reason that level of certainty exists is that they're kind of very clear, these women, about what they want to do and how they want to do it. And even now that they are in office, if you look at their performances, you can tell that they had clarity that they were going into political office to serve people, not to lord it over other people, not to become bosses or anything among their community, but to genuinely, do the work that is required. You only need to look at the anniversary of Senator Natasha and the programs she brought out that she had done for her constituency. In the 2 years she's been in office, despite being suspended for at least 6 months of those. So I think resilience from sort of trying and not giving up, that sort of quality.
Indeed.
But I also think that there are women who've managed to sort of get the leadership of their political parties to believe in them. Because you can't do it without your political party giving you support and giving you the ticket to start with.
Absolutely.
So internal party democracy is becoming a really significant part of how we elect leaders, so that by the time you get to the polling unit, the quality of what you are actually putting forward is sound. This applies actually not just to women, but to men as well. And
just as we wind down, we must also pay tribute to Simi Olushola. She ran in 2023, but she passed on last year, 2024. We must commend her fighting spirit, and I must say that her doggedness has infected others. So we're paying tribute to her because I know she participated or shows a part of that documentary as well.
Dedicated to her memory, and it's important we say that because Simi contested while pregnant and while also battling an illness. And that level of dedication to public service has to be commended.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, not long after the elections, we lost her and she died. She did leave behind a young son. And I think when he grows up and understands just how much of a warrior his mother was, he's going to be so proud. And you're right, she is an example to other young women. Everywhere I go to talk about this documentary, particularly people who watch it, talk about her spirit and how it is inspiring them.
And that'll be a fine place to anchor the conversation. Of course, there's more to explore, talking about cultural barriers, but it's clearly an ongoing one. And we hope to see you, Ms. Ahmed, also contesting for an elective seat sometime soon. We need strong voices like yours. Well, thank you.
I just wonder if people know that the documentaries are about to start showing on channels and the timings for them. Maybe we could share them with the audience.
Yes, very quickly. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, so this documentary is a 3-part series funded by the MacArthur Foundation, who've been really supportive of our work. We're so grateful to them. And they will be showing over the next 3 weeks on Channels TV at 10 a.m. starting this Sunday. So you see part 1 this Sunday, the following Sunday part 2, and the final part the Sunday after that. And I hope people will take the trouble to watch, because it really is a compelling story that we are telling.
Oh, and I'm sure it's not going to be a trouble. It will be worth the time. Thank you so much, Ms. Kadaria Ahmed. She is the owner of Daria Media and a veteran journalist. Thank you for coming on the program.
So appreciative. Thank you.